People of the internet, good day to you all. I am King Guy, and today I wish to take you on a journey back in time, back to when America was great, the 90s. As myself and Boo Lemont find another forgotten gem. Today, Total Cult Zone presents Almost Heroes.
Men, we're about to embark on an unprecedented adventure to the great Northwest. Now get in the boat!
It's a journey through uncharted wilderness.
Tell the men what they might expect to encounter.
Once there was a hawk. Plucked a man's eyeballs out of his sockets.
Fear will be our breakfast. Don't take her. Take me instead.
Put your hands on your hips. No, I think I'll still keep the woman.
It's an undertaking of epic proportion.
Hello, Boo. How do you do?
I do good. Sometimes. I'm good, man. I'm good. Not much going on.
Yeah, nothing at all.
It's
Nothing
very
at all.
quiet.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
So we're continuing a series of sorts, films from years ago that may have slipped past us somehow. That might be
Absolutely
quite good. Might be
I
quite.
hadn't even heard of this film before you had suggested it. And as a fan of the file, that's really bad of me, especially since it was his last one.
Yeah, it's been said I'm stuck in the past, and I fully accept that. No, because currently I'm in a situation where I've got money to burn, and it's been a while since I've had that. And when thinking about what I could buy with it, it's like I could buy this fancy new thing, this fancy new thing. I could buy a new TV, because my one is old enough to vote. I can't think of anything, so I'm going back and buying all the shit I used to want but could never get because I didn't have the money at the time. So
I'm literally sitting in a steering wheel seat. Absolutely, mate. I've gone back and bought all the crap that I would have loved as a child. It all stemmed from that scene in Big, where he's got his own apartment and he's got a fucking pinball machine, an arcade machine and stuff. And I was just like, that one scene has probably hit me more in adulthood because now I'm surrounded in a room with beautiful pinball machine. I've got a nice fruit machine in the corner. I'm building a cabinet, like stuff I would have killed for as a kid, like my own little personal arcade. And that's the good thing about being a childless, weird adult.
yeah, for me it was like being into comic books in the late 90s, early 2000s, and there were so many things, so many comics I couldn't afford. I wanted. I go into the Film Planet at the time and I want that, want that, want that. Never could.
That back room
Recently,
with the boxes and shelves.
I
You
just
used to
go through the
walk
back
in.
issues.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you used to walk in and you used to be surrounded by that square of boxes, and then on the right hand side were the shelves and the model kits. Oh yes,
yeah. Now it's all Funko Pops.
Funko Pops are not for real collectors. I am very proud of the fact that I don't own a single Funko Pop. I've got lots of other crap. I can see like three Elvira action figures in the corner of my eye, but no Funko.
Or action figures, slightly sticky.
No, no, she don't swing that way.
So yeah, comic books I've been on the binge of. And one of the joys about those comic books is the adverts in them,
Yes.
because it points to other comic books at the time which never heard of or could barely remember. I think, oh, I'll get them as well. And music, some shitty new metal. Yeah, I
Kool-Aid,
love that. Yeah,
Hostess, Pies. What were the
all
other
that
ones?
shit. Yeah, some PSAs in them. And
Yes,
yeah, and movies.
because
Movies.
tobacco is wacko if you're a kid. That's from the Superman 1985 PSA. It has stuck with me. He fights a guy called Nit O'Teen, and there used to be lots of posters in like primary schools and stuff in the very early 80s. And yeah, that was the tagline: "Tobacco is wacko if you're a teen."
Yeah, so food, drinks, music, and movies. And yeah, I saw one this morning actually. I was flicking through some real good of my comic books. I'm a comic book collector's nightmare because I'm now putting 4 to 5 comic books per bag with no board.
Man, free balling.
Yeah. The one this morning called Solo, which was Maro Van Peebles. Never
Solo,
heard
the
of.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. He's like a cyborg type warrior dude. It's basically Universal Sol it's Universal Soldiers for people that aren't white. No, I used to like those Mario Van Peebles movies back then. Was Fortress another one? That was pretty. Oh no, that was Christopher Lambert.
Yeah, Fortress was the one that got hit with a lawsuit, didn't it? Because it was essentially just another film.
Yeah.
But yeah, movies. One of the ones I did find I sent to you the other week because it's one of those films that we should know.
Absolutely. And it's annoying that I don't. If I'd known about this film, it would have sat on the video shelf alongside The Nutty Professor, and other comedies of this caliber.
Norbit.
No, not Norbit. I'm not. Do you know how recent that is? That's within the last 15 years.
What, Norbit?
Norbit. I'm almost certain. You're going to look it up and prove me wrong, aren't you? Bully, it was 1983. It was Eddie Murphy's first movie.
It's 18 years old.
18 fucking. Yeah.
2007.
It was not 18 years ago. Come on, like 2007 to 5. Yep.
Cue sounds of Boo feeling old.
Grumble, grumble, grumble.
Yeah,
Grumble.
it's still. I'm not a fan of the people in it per se. I was never a big Farley fan, but big name at the time. Matthew Perry on a
Matthew
high
Perry.
with his friend's career.
You shouldn't say on a high. Sorry.
On a high, yes.
On a high.
And the producer, writer, or director, writer, Christopher Guest. Do you know he goes all the way to 11?
Yes. Oh, the caliber in the film, like even the opening narration is top fucking draw.
Mm.
It's Harry Shearer. It just feels like the opening of an episode of The Simpsons when I first heard that. It is honestly, the whole thing is set up way better than it has any right to be.
Also looking up Christopher Guest, you know what his full title is?
I don't know what his full title is. No,
Lord Hiding Guest, member of the House of Lords.
is he British? Am I about to find?
He was a hereditary peer from 1996 to 1999 because his father was in the House of Lords.
I had no idea. This is the director of Best in Show, the director of
Mighty Wind, Waiting for Government.
Mighty Winds. This is Spinal Tap.
Yeah, he was a lord for a couple of years.
I didn't know that. That's brilliant. I actually didn't know. So he's British then. I had no idea. But it makes sense actually now. It's the most British American humour that there is.
Mm. So yeah, I know you're a fan of Chris Farley, so I'll send it over to you.
Yes.
And
I'm aware of Matthew Perry.
let's have a look at a couple of the backstory of this one. The synopsis is two bumbling explorers hope to beat Lewis and Clark to the Pacific Ocean as they race across America's western frontier in the early 1800s. Debuting in May 1998, this $30 million film opened in the US and Canada to a question one. How much money did it make in its opening weekend, Boo? $30 million budget.
15 million.
To go a bit lower.
5 million.
A bit lower.
No, 2 million.
A little bit higher. 2.8 million. 27.2 million lost.
Wow.
At the end of its run, it made 6.1 million worldwide. And I don't think it actually made the cinemas over here. Maybe it did one or two of them. Obviously not big impact. I don't think it got a UK release on video or DVD.
I don't remember it. Otherwise, like I said, if I knew about this film at the time, it would have been something I watched. Like I saw Beverly Hills Ninja, I would have watched this
in the cinema.
No, unfortunately, that was definitely I was waiting for it to come out on video, Jobby. So technically, I should have really known about this and been waiting for it to come out on video. It would have been one of the ones where I would have seen a poster on the video shop wall, like the Beverly Hills Cop Ninja. It's Farley doing a jump kick in front of a fucking Malibu background. To 8-year-old me, essential. Oh no, 92. To 10-year-old me, essential. Like I had to see that. If I'd seen this poster and seen Farley and knew it was a comedy, I would have gone for it. And then I would have been my introduction to Matthew Perry. Because I certainly wouldn't have like, watched Friends.
Yeah, film not just being notoriously bad and being the last film Christopher Guest made with a traditional narrative, but sadly the last lead role of Chris Farley, who died 5 months before the film was released.
Well, that fucking hooker left him in the middle of the hotel room. You've taken away comedy. I hope something terrible has happened to her now.
So I said it was released in May 1998. It was finished in 1996. It was actually supposed to be released in 97, but was delayed when there was a merger between Turner Broadcasting and Time Warner, leaving this to sit on the shelf for 2 years and only released after Chris Farley's death because possibly cashing in.
Yes, almost 100%. This is America. This is Hollywood.
Yeah, it was his last lead role. His last role was in another film. It was like a bit part. So yeah, there was like a period of time when he wasn't actually doing anything, which says a lot about how far he'd fallen at that point because he was like a big name they were pushing at one point, obviously in lead roles all over the place. And famously, he was the original voice for Shrek, having done test stuff for that in 96, 97 period.
They were building the whole thing around him, and which was more based on the original book. And yeah, a lot of that stuff's come out to light now. Wasn't it like a ridiculously high percentage was actually complete? It was like 97% complete. All his voice lines were done. They could have done it and they didn't because they knew that if they'd started it and it got over big with the kids, they would be very, very hard pressed to make a sequel from somebody that passed away. They'd also have to explain it. Oh, well, son, Shrek died, but someone else is going to voice him. Shrek took an 8-ball and had a heart attack in a hotel room. Sorry.
Yeah, that came out in 2001. If he got the role, if they kept him, do you reckon they would have changed his life around a bit, maybe?
No.
Was it like a different timing kind of thing where it wasn't like fully
he wanted to be
Belushi?
He wanted to be Belushi. He was gonna go that way. You can't help some people. His last interview on David Letterman was so hard to watch because you could tell he was like a fucking hot dog trying to burst out of its skin. It was depressing. And yeah, like no, he was doomed, and he did it to himself. And it's the worst thing. It's a shame. It is a shame. But no, I feel more success would have made things worse. Not that this film was a success, so maybe it would have humbled him. Who knows?
Possibly. So when I learned about the film, I looked for it online using the usual methods of YouTube. It's old enough and obscure enough to be on there. It's one of those films that's like, oh, they just put it on there, no one will notice. A couple of clips popped up and one labelled the funniest scene in Almost Heroes. That was the title.
I assume that's going to be when he's telling the story around the campfire, because that was one of the two things that made me properly laugh. And it's not even that funny. I think it's just
Yeah. So I watched that and was like, oh, this is going to be trouble. Because I didn't laugh at all.
Did you not get an air? So I read after the fact that they were going for sort of like a blunt British sarcastic Blackadder style sort of jokes. It didn't come across that way, but now that I've read that that's what they were going for, I can see that was their attempt. Like the story, like around the campfire. If you put that in say you've got Blackadder and a couple of drunk people, and one tells that story, I can imagine that. I can imagine Blackadder reacting to that in a sort of droll way, as opposed to the American. Like I got what they were going for in that regard.
This is like
even the funniest scene isn't funny.
Yeah, is this much like when they make American versions of British sitcoms? You reckon?
Which are never successful. Well, except for The Office.
Yeah, but they did change that humour after the first couple of episodes.
Yeah.
They had like so many. They've had spaced the IT crowd. Like the versions of these shows that they Red Dwarf, they can't get right because the humour's not there.
So I watched a video recently. I'm sure it was a Stuck Mojo one, and they showed clips of the not Stuck Mojo. What's it called? Watch Mojo.
The new metal band.
Is it?
Stuck Mojo are pretty much Fozzy, aren't they?
I don't know. I heard Mojo. That was the word that came to mind. Um,
Watch Mojo.
yeah, I saw a program about their attempts to make American shows out of British ones, and I didn't know about the Dad's Army one, and I certainly didn't know about AbFab because I wasn't a big AbFab guy back in the day. But it was the talk of the school the next day, almost
Mm.
certainly. When it was popular, and they tried an American version, and it just wasn't funny because Americans are quite abrasive anyway. So when you've got an American doing an abrasive humor, like trying to be a Brit, it just comes off as over Yankee sort of.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just not as fun. Like there's subtlety to British humor. It's like I wouldn't want to see a British remake of Friends. I wouldn't want to see an American version of Friends, to be fair. But
Did we have it with
but
coupling?
I'm aware of coupling. I haven't seen it. Isn't it Samantha? No, not Samantha Janus. It's the one married to Armstrong.
Sarah Alexander.
That yes, Sarah Alexander. Yes,
Mm. Yeah.
very pretty. Yes, I enjoy those sketches. Anyway,
Yes. I enjoy Sarah Alexander a lot.
yeah,
It's a funny show. It's a bit awkward the first episode, and then it gets into it, and it's yeah, Stephen Moffat wanted to do Doctor Who, so he's got a bit of experimenting in there. Wasn't exactly Friends, but it was similar setup.
yeah,
But digress. Yeah, the American versions of stuff that's quintessentially British, like Blackadder, would go very wrong, and
yeah.
I saw that, and possibly, but then the reaction from Matthew Perry and Chris Farley isn't Tony Robinson and Rowan Atkinson.
Certainly not, because the dynamic is, I don't know, like, so the role that Matthew Perry had was originally offered to Hugh Grant. Not Hugh Grant, sorry, Hugh Laurie. It was offered to Hugh Grant, but it was actually originally offered to Hugh Laurie and Bill Murray, funnily enough. So it was written around Hugh Laurie. And then when they took it to the executives and it was being shopped around, they went, "We don't know who he is. He's not famous enough. Like, he's famous on British TV, yes, but
He
he's
was
not
in
big."
would have been in Spice World, 100 and Dalmatians, and The Man in the Iron Mask at that point. And get this, he went from in '97 being in an episode of The Bill to an
Yeah.
episode of Friends.
Hugh Laurie.
Yeah, that was '97. Those three things or four things, five things, whatever. Yeah, that
It's
was
weird for
'97.
me because my grandma's been was a Fry and Laurie fan. So to me, well, he's the Prince Regent from Blackadder.
Yeah,
He's the bumbler in Fry and Laurie, and then suddenly he's House, this gruff American. Like,
yeah, it is very odd. I think it might have worked with him. I had like made a note
I think it
halfway
would
through
work.
it. I think would have been great for that role. Similar
Mm,
as Matthew Perry though. He was an American sitcom.
mm.
David Hyde Pierce
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
doing exactly Niles, the same
Yeah,
character, not even
that would
changing that
actually
at all.
work, and it would mean more work for David Hyde Pierce.
Yeah, he's great.
Great actor. Does bugger all these days. Wouldn't even go in the Frasier reboot. But then I didn't watch it. To be fair, they replaced him with Rodney, didn't they?
Dave.
Dave.
Yeah, I was thinking like he would have been great for this role because he's got that
Yeah,
pompous attitude and just doing the same character.
yeah.
Playing opposite Chris Farley may have worked a lot better.
I totally agree. And because there's Matthew Perry. I'm trying not to speak ill of the recently dead, or the fairly recently dead. He obviously was a very nice person. Like everybody's always saying nice things about him, and I know he's donated a lot to this and the other. So I'm not going to shit on him, but he's definitely the weakest performer in the movie for me.
Mm.
Like Eugene Levy, fucking amazing. Farley is good in it because he's got the physicality and the facials when he's being attacked by the eagle multiple times. That cracked me up. It was funny. Do you know what? The more I talk about it, the more I'm laughing internally. Maybe like I said, I'm not going to shit on this film because I actually enjoyed it, and it would have been on rotation when I was a kid. I would have definitely. It's very rare that I go back and watch bits of a film after watching a film to review for the. But I actually the next day went back and watched clips because I wanted to see if there was a certain character left out of the final scene. That made no sense.
Yeah. So skipping over what the actual film was about, it's just a road trip movie,
Yes,
isn't it? Really, over
it's a series
America
of
and
sketches.
yeah,
It's a series of sketches set in the same with the same characters, and it's a very uncohesive parts of a story that make an overall film. But like it's not narrative heavy, is it? Like
no, it didn't feel like it was improvised though either. It's like they were
no,
going through the lines, and the problem I had with it was every joke you could see coming a mile away, but then it was
yes,
half a second late.
yeah, that's such a good description because it is. Yes, there was a slow start example when like one of the only gross out bits in the movie is he's been told to bathe. And then you see the flies, and you see like this grim water. And like as soon as I said, like they were like talking about bathing, I was like, "There's going to be a scene where he gets out of like black water or like some water with like crap all over the top and stuff." And it was there. It's almost
Yeah,
certainly the
starting on
punchlines.
Matthew Perry doing the speech on the back of a wagon, and you're like, oh, he's going to fall off of that at some point, or he's going to
Yeah,
hit a tree branch, and yep, he
it's going
does.
to hit something. Yeah,
But it happened like half a second after it should have happened. Yeah, that was the whole film for me, really. I think there was one, I got one laugh out of it, and that was the taxidermy dentist.
yeah,
That's pretty much the only joke I got, like, a laugh out of. The rest of it, I'm not, like I say, I'm not a Chris Farley fan, so the humor he has is not for me.
yeah.
And Matthew Perry has nothing.
The thing with Farley humor is it very much revolves around his ability to instantly go into insane anger and like, "Arr!" and then like just to like resolve. And he does that a few times in the movie,
Mm.
and that's like it's the Jim Carrey rubber face move. It's Farley's thing is like that instant anger. There's moments in the movie which I absolutely recognize from previous SNL sketches with Farley. Um, there was a lot of SNL inspired. I mean, but that's what he's from, so it would be. But there was a lot of SNL inspired sort of performances in this. I'm trying to think. There was a bit at the end that really made me laugh, and I'm trying to remember what it was. No, it was a really silly joke, and again, it was one you predicted. He's got to climb down right at the end. He's got to climb down this really steep cliff, and he's falling, and he's getting hit with stuff, and it's dragging. He's getting hurt. He's doing the Farley growl. He hits the bottom. He plants the flag. He turns around, and they're all standing there, and they're like, "Oh, we found a path," like sort of thing. Again, totally predictable that he was going to get to the bottom, and they were going to come and find their way around or something. Like it, but again, it's the physicality of the Farley humor, the screaming, the growling. There are like, yeah, it is generic, but I enjoy it. So if you're not already into it, you're not going to get into it.
Yeah, but I think I was going to write a review about this. It would be jokes half formed, story bare bones, ending. It has one. Phoning it in was a film. This is it. That
Except for Eugene Levy, who is clearly, whenever he's with Christopher Guest, he performs so like top tier. It took me a little while to actually recognize it was Eugene Levy.
yeah,
In all
same.
honesty, so good in that performance, and one of the funniest characters. Joachim Woodbine as the slave, very funny. You know, you're my slave. Where do your alliances lie? Of course, you know where my alliances lie. It lies with Mr. Hunt. Like, you know, that's good. Like,
Yeah, I mean, just the rest of the characters were just like I didn't know one from the other.
yeah,
They kind
there
of
was
just
the
they're
there's
all
weird old
idiots, but
man.
they're smelly idiot.
Yes, yeah. Who I started referring to as the we can do it guy. You know the guy, and he's the one that sleeps with the mannequin dolls, and he's treating them
Hmm.
like they're real women. And you know, and who's the other sort of you can do it guy? Oh, the guy that keeps losing limbs and like, oh, you know, I've lost a leg, I've lost an arm, and I'm still standing here and get shot.
Yeah, and the romance plot sort of shoehorned in.
It's so ridiculous. There's just, oh my, it's like it was the most unbelievable romance. I get that the lead character's got to get with, so she was meant to be Sacagawea, you know, for them.
Hmm.
Um, and she ends up with Matthew Perry. Honestly, I wanted there to be a swerve in her to end up with Farley, the smelly, disgusting, man of the land, as opposed to the foppish
Mm.
oaf.
That would have been a bit more funny. But that was Lisa Barbusia. Barbusia. You know what she did after that?
I don't know much about her. I must have been looking it up.
It's pretty much nothing there, apart from like she was in Bridget Jones' Diary, Highlander Endgame. After Almost Heroes, she was a crew member in Red Dwarf.
You're kidding.
Yeah, one episode Red Dwarf, the worst episode,
What? What's the worst episode?
PT.
Sorry? Say again?
PT, season 8, the one with the big budgie.
I don't like season 8. I don't. We could get into a whole thing with the Canaries. No.
The Canaries?
Apart
Yeah,
from
I like the idea of that one, but yeah, she's a
apart
crew member.
from apart from Patang, between the that's the only thing I remember from that series. Oh, and Crichton learning about periods because he's gone up with not my Red Dwarf. That like I really trailed off after 6, really trailed off. And then it got into in fact, I can't even say that there's been any really good Red Dwarf since then. Not really. No, those Dave episodes were the pits. I love you, Red Dwarf, but you could
It's a different show entirely.
Yeah,
If we go into it,
and
I didn't mind them. I didn't mind them. There's
really?
an episode.
Okay.
There's an old episode that's pretty good.
Which one? The one with Jesus? Hated that
No,
episode.
no, there's a lot of duds, but there's some decent episodes in there. But yeah, back to the movie. Back to the movie. So what are your general thoughts? I mean, you're generally upbeat about this. Then you're the
I
opposite of me.
actually liked it. It did make me laugh. It was as my old friend David used to say, it was chewing gum for the eyes, but was familiar enough for me to feel comfortable with it. And I know it sounds really weird, but you know yourself, my attention span is shot. I don't know if I've got ADD or I've got something. I'm going to get diagnosed because my ability to watch films has dropped. It took me an hour and 5 minutes before I did that. Oh, I wonder how long is left in this movie. And wiggled the mouse. That's rare for me, dude. An hour and 5 minutes? There was only 20 minutes. There was only 15 minutes left.
And then you had to disable the advert that popped up.
Yeah. Yep. No, I genuinely feel like if I knew about this film as a child, it would have been I would have gone out and got it. There are certain crap films which I do enjoy, and this is definitely one I'm going to watch again. And even though it's not funny, it's not well put together, it's not cohesive, the sum of all parts equal shit. But for some reason, I really enjoyed watching it. It was comfortable viewing for me. There's no, it's safe as fuck. There's no swearing. There's 2 very quick bits of nudity, 1 man and 1 woman. So that's equal. If you're going to look at a man's ass, you're going to get to look at a woman's ass too. Mm. It's safe. That's a really odd thing to call a film, but I would sit and watch this with nieces and nephews. I would sit and watch this on my own again, even though I know in my heart of hearts that it's bollocks. It's weird.
Is it the comfortable feeling you get from it? It transports you back to that time, and it's essentially what we started the show with, where it's like it was a better time.
I was happier. I was surrounded by love and people, and I can picture the living room with the 2 sofas at my grandma's house where I would have watched this film. I can imagine it on the TV with my brother on the other sofa, us giggling at a guy telling a big story about how he ate a shit pie. That's funny to me. I mean, that scene, they were essentially going for the farting scene in Blazing Saddles.
Mm. Cool. So 50-50 on this, which is the general consensus online, actually. Overall, the reviews come in at IMDb have it 5.8. It's got 2.7 out of 5 on Letterboxd. And although on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 5% critic score.
Go on, the audience score is going to be big in it.
The audience score is 64.
Okay, well, it's not as big as I thought it was going to be, but that is for a 5% critics. So that basically is running on pure viewer
Yeah,
reviews as
pretty much.
opposed to critic reviews. But a critic would watch that film and would shit on it because it
Yeah.
deserves it from that standpoint. From a
To the
viewer's standpoint, it's bubblegum for the eye, like chewing gum for the eyes, and I can sit happily and consume that for an hour and 20
Yeah.
minutes.
So much so that Siskel and Ebert were prevented from reviewing the movie due to Gene Siskel's dislike for Farley. His movie Black Sheep was one of 3 films he'd ever walked out over the years, and as he died before they released it, they thought it best not to let them cover it.
Yeah,
Which
that's probably.
it would be really harsh of him if he shat on it.
What's crazy is they acted like that towards Farley, but Sissel and Ebert hated Jim Carrey until they didn't. And then they did a big apology episode and re-reviewed all his films and was kissing the Farley deserved that. Like Chris Farley was comedically as funny as Jim Carrey's early films. They come from the same style of school of comedy. Jim Carrey started out on A Living Colour. Chris Farley started out on SNL. They were both all in lots of different sketch comedies. They were practically identical, except Carrey was the rubber-faced goon who was skinny, and Farley was the overweight but massively athletic and fast physical comedian. They're both physical comedians, so I would say that, if what's good for the goose is good for the gander, if Cecil Leesburg felt the need to apologise to Carey, I'm sure if he had lived, I would hope that he would have got the same treatment. Because it's the same style of fucking comedy, mate.
I could do a couple of reviews here. Paul Tatara from CNN. All of the guys in the expedition are dumb, and they say and do dumb things in dumb ways, dumbly. Didn't like it.
Dum 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 dum.
That was a critic side. The audience side, Alia D said, "This movie is truly an American treasure and a must see. Dumb people in dumb situations doing dumb things makes the funniest movie. I find myself quoting Almost Heroes almost constantly, and it is easily my favourite movie. Great to watch with a family or share with friends. Deserves to be a true cult classic."
I think if I watch it again, I will definitely pick up quotes. I can't think of any directly, except for I don't have a brother.
Anon, or an anonymous reviewer, said,
And on and on.
if anyone does not give this film a 10, they obviously don't understand sarcasm or Chris Farley. One of his best films that definitely slipped under the radar and should definitely be a cult classic at this point. Laugh after laugh through all the bizarre characters and comments in this film. One of my all-time faves for sure. I also said,
I was with him until laugh after laugh.
yeah, it also said, if anyone does not give this film a 10, this is on Rotten Tomatoes where the maximum is 5. I don't know if that's ironic humour.
I mean, what they tried to do was clearly better than what they ended up doing. Especially, can you imagine if it was Hugh Laurie? No, sorry, it would have been Bill Murray was the other personality. Can you imagine Bill Murray and Chris Farley in that? I can't. I can't imagine that. It would have to have been a Hugh Laurie or a Matthew Perry to a degree, or any of them from Friends. They're all interchangeable.
So I was going to do a quiz about the Friends cast and who had the biggest box office career and hits, but when I looked online for it, it was just polluted with absolute shite and AI bollocks. So it's like, who had the best film? And then they went through everyone's film and rated them all equally, which is not what I was after. I wanted box office numbers. So, what's your favourite film starring a Friends cast member?
He-Man, Masters of the Universe, the live action movie starring Courtney Cox. I'm desperately trying to think of some others.
I've got Scream 1, 2, and 4. Courtney Cox. Iron Giant, Jennifer Aniston. Office Space, Jennifer Aniston.
Office Space, Jennifer Aniston is the other one that I was trying to think of and be a smart ass, thank you.
Leprechaun.
Was he in a war movie, a good war movie? David Schwimmer was in Band of Brothers?
Yeah. Is that a TV show?
Is that a
movie?
Yeah, no, you're right. It's a TV show, doesn't count. It's a miniseries. All right, well, he's shit then.
Who's in that Pupil? That wasn't
Apt Pupil about the Nazi one with
Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen, Stephen King. Yeah, he was. Oh, Matthew Perry. So this is the most I've been exposed to Matthew Perry. I tried to find some other stuff he was in that wasn't Friends, and the only he was in other stuff, obviously. The only thing I came up with was this, and I keep getting shots of it on Facebook now. He's an inner city teacher teaching the black youth, how do I reach these kids? Style, Yeah, I seen him in one of these recently as well. I'm not, because Friends was never on my radar. I watched a couple of episodes. I thought this is dramatically terrible. I'm not going to get involved, even though it's like the thing of the time. So, other than I don't know, yeah, Office Space, Jennifer Aniston, and old Courtney Cox stuff. My favourite was the Dancing in the Dark video with Bruce Springsteen, Courtney Cox.
So it was really good. Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion.
I've
This is
heard
Rowe
that's good.
and Mira
I've
Sorvino.
heard that's good. Yeah, she's very good in that. I've
Yeah,
heard.
I want to go back
BB.
in time and hunt down Harvey Weinstein and kill him because we were robbed with Mira Sorvino.
Yeah,
Amazing in that. Mighty Aphrodite.
Mighty Aphrodite. I remember that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Although Woody Allen and Harvey
Those
Weinstein.
Miramax early '90s gems, man. Fucking Weinstein, dude. Fucking Weinstein.
Okay, more your speed. Best Saturday Night
Go on.
Live adjacent movie.
Oh, The Ladies Man is my personal favourite. It's not even the best. I've seen all of them, by the way, and I can absolutely confirm It's Pat the movie is the worst movie ever made, ever. That is my worst movie. It's Pat. The worst. Just the worst. She didn't want to do it. In fact, it put her off the character. She stopped performing as Pat after that. So that was pretty bad. Would you say Austin Powers was adjacent? Maybe.
No.
Really?
No.
Dr. Evil is literally Lorne Michaels.
Got to be a character on the show.
Okay.
That they've transferred
So
over.
obviously the best and most successful is Wayne's World. That's the answer. That's the answer. But
Is
my
your favourite,
third,
though?
no, The Ladies Man. That's the name. That's the best one. It is a character from SNL, spun off into his own movie. Leon Phelps, The Ladies Man.
So, okay. Where does this film lie on your Farley movie database?
Fucking weirdly high up, like weirdly high up. It's not got a touch on Dirty Work, any of the Adam Sandler movies he was in. But in terms of Farley led, it's probably one of the best. Unfortunately, of the four I can name, it's probably one of the best ones. It's not as good as Black Sheep. It's not as good as Tommy Boy. So, but it's up there. Of the four, it's either 3 or 4, but that's still top 4.
And for me, I can't really rate it because it's the only Chris Farley film I've really watched.
You've never seen Beverly Hills Ninja. You've never seen Dirty. You've seen Dirty Work.
No.
You've seen Dirty Work, surely. I thought we've seen Dirty Work. The Norm Macdonald it's the Norm Macdonald, and Chris Farley keeps getting things of his bitten off in the movie. So he's like he's with a Chinese prostitute, and she bites his nose off, and then you see him later in the film. He's got a prosthetic nose. He's in the car with the prostitute.
No.
He goes, "Let's get some fight music," and he presses the button on the jukebox, and he goes, "Yeah, Metallica," and he's like, "No, dude, you just pressed A4," and he's like, "Do you like pina coladas?" For a fight scene. That's a great movie. It's a great movie. Dirty Work, Norm Macdonald, and Farley's brilliant in it.
So where can we find you online?
Don't look for me. Don't look for me. I'll find you. Wow, that's terrifying. You can follow me on social media, although I'm probably getting rid of Facebook because it's full of bastards. At Boo Lemont. You can follow me on Instagram at Boo Lemont PW for all your really sad middle-aged professional wrestling photo needs. Or just listen to the podcast and you will hear my voice whenever you want.
Excellent. And for all my shit, totalcarzone.com. Social medias, videos, blog type things. Maybe another podcast at some point in time. All there.
Go there instead of trying to find me.
I'll link to his account on there. You can book him for your
No.
wrestling show. Also, you can buy me a coffee or two if you want. You know, it only costs like £1.50 in London.
Buy him a coffee. What? That's not true.
It is true.
Buy him a coffee, £10 per espresso.
Yep, go there. totalcarzone.com. See ya. Bye.
See, bye.
Bye.
Dum 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 dum.